All right, so this is for your post map stuff so that we at least can keep learning something as we go. Key thing, again, it's not meant for you to have to think too much. Just make sure you follow along. Make sure you copy the problem itself, and then everything I write on this side of paper, you do not need to copy anything I write over here, and then just hand it in for credit when you're done. But negative 16 plus 12, what we're looking at here as we're trying to get into is that this is a negative 16 and a positive 12, that the signs are different. Again, write that down, that they're different, so that means we are going to subtract them. All right, so we're going to do 16 minus 12, which is 4. And then we're going to use common sense, go back and say the bigger number is 16, so circle that 16, which means that the answer has to be negative 4. So just trying to make our work a little more fluent without having to think about so many different things. The skills that we've been working on are still important. Just again, make sure you're understanding that what we are doing here is just trying to get used to going to this thing and understanding how to do it. Here you have negative 10 minus 8. And so again, what we're looking at is negative 10, negative 8. In this case, the signs are the same, so we will add. And again, you do want to write these words: diff for different, which means subtract, same, because the signs are the same, which means we add. 10 plus 8 obviously is 18. And then after that, because the bigger number is 10, it's going to be negative 18. So again, it's just getting used to that process, doing it over and over. It's going to become something that's natural, but it does take time. And again, the good news is you really don't have to know this until Tuesday, but you do need to make sure you're working on getting to know it, because if you don't, then when Tuesday hits and you still don't understand it, you're going to be in trouble a little bit. 18 minus 28, don't forget that this 18 is a positive 18 and a negative 28. So when we're asking ourselves, you have a positive and a negative, that means the signs are different. And so because of that, we will subtract, which means we do 28 minus 18, which we obviously know to be 10. And again, the bigger number is negative, which means that's going to be it. Again, what I'm looking for is the problem, the underlines, the words, the circle of the bigger number, and then your final answer down here. So not a lot of writing, but like I said, just make sure that you're following along, make sure that you're copying this down, and make sure you're listening and thinking along with what I'm doing, and make sure that everything I do does make sense, because again, if it doesn't make sense, then it really is not going to help you in the end. Negative 14 plus 20. So again, negative 14 plus 20. What are we looking at here? We're looking at a negative 14. We're looking at a positive 20. Using your observation, we recognize that these two signs are different. Because they're different, we're going to subtract. Again, we subtract because, again, don't copy this part, but because whenever you have a plus and a minus, they cancel out. So therefore, you do not add, you subtract whenever they're different. So again, they're different, so we subtract. 20 minus 14 is 6. The bigger number is 20, so it's just a positive 6. We leave the 6 alone because there's no need to write a plus in front of it. Negative 27 minus 13. The way you read it doesn't really matter. Just make sure whenever you have a minus sign in front, that's a negative, and then anything after that is a minus. So negative 27 minus 13. It's also important you learn to read those things, because when you do get your calculators and I show you how to use the buttons, if you're reading it wrong, it's not going to help you. So we would read this as negative 14 plus 20. This would be read as negative 27 minus 13. And again, while we're going through it, just make sure you're picking up all the small habits, because things like that will definitely help, again, when we get to these actual calculator work, and you can type it into the calculator the right way. But anyway, this is negative 27. This is negative 13. The signs in this case are both negative, so they're the same. Because they are the same, that means they work together. Again, don't write this, but again, if I had negatives over here and negatives over there, they all get worked together. So therefore, we're going to add because the signs are the same. The signs agree with each other. However you want to view that. But again, the bottom line is if the signs are the same, we add them together. Your answer would be 27. Again, don't write this part. 13. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry the 1. That's 4. So 40. Again, you do not need to write anything to the side of this line. You don't need to worry about that. And then because the 27 is the biggest number, it's going to be negative 40. Yes, it's all negatives, but again, for the sign, just go back to the bigger number. That tells you whether it's positive or negative every single time. 13 minus 25, again, that is a positive 13. That is a negative 25. And so as a result, what you're looking at is because these two signs are different, we are going to subtract 25 minus 13. Again, if you don't know, don't write this side, but 25 minus 13, 5 minus 3, 2, 2 minus 1, 1, so 12. And again, for your sign, you cannot forget the sign. Your bigger number is negative, so it's going to be a negative 12. That's all that it is. It's a very straightforward process, but again, we've got to trust that you'll do enough work to understand it, because if you don't, then when these problems start getting more realistic, which they kind of already are, then you're going to be caught up because it's hard to kind of keep up with stuff like that. Number 7, you have a negative 24 and a positive 10. With those numbers, we're looking at the fact that these two are different. And because they are different, we are going to subtract. 24 minus 10. Well, anytime you take 10 away, you just drop that number by 1, so it'll be 14. And the last thing we look at is that is the bigger number, so the sign goes with it. So again, bigger number negative, answer negative. Bigger number is negative, answer is negative. Bigger number is negative, answer is negative. And so on and so forth through everything we've done so far. The bigger number is positive, our answer is positive. The bigger number is negative, our answer is negative. Bigger number is negative, our answer is negative. And just like on number 7, same situation. So all these things need to be added to your understanding and to your habits, because the better you are at understanding, the better you are at making decisions faster, the better it's going to be for you in terms of being able to work through this stuff. Negative 13 plus 21. These two signs are different. Because they are different, we are going to subtract. Again, when they are different, that means we have 0 pairs. When they are different, it means they disagree. When they are different, it means the signs don't like each other and somebody leaves or somebody wants to go. So that's leaving, would be subtracting. So therefore, you're going to subtract 21 minus 13. Again, you do not need to copy anything to the left of this, but 21 minus 13, if you don't know, can't do 1 minus 3, so we borrow, turning this into 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. 1 minus 1 is gone, so your answer is just 8. Bigger number is positive, so therefore our answer is positive 8. That is it. 26 minus 37. Positive 26 because there's nothing in front. Negative 37. Positive and negative, those two signs are different. So we are going to subtract. Once we know that, we do 37 minus 26, which I think we know the answer to, but let's just go ahead and do this safely. 7 minus 6, 1. 3 minus 2, 1. Yep, it's 11. And then because my bigger number is negative, my answer will be negative. All right. So I'm hoping you're seeing this. Like I said, it's not a tough process. It's just something you have to care enough about to want to learn. Which is why if you get to the point where you don't know it and it's been a week or two, there's really nothing I can do, because it's literally because you didn't want to learn it. Negative 41, negative 23. These two signs are the same because they're both negative. They both agree. So they hang out. They like each other, so they stay, which means that we are going to add those two numbers. You have 41 negatives and 23 negatives working together. So again, 41, again, don't write this, plus 23, which is 64. Our bigger number is negative, so our answer will be negative. Just make sure you're getting these processes down. Again, make sure you're seeing it, make sure you're practicing it, make sure you're not practicing it, but just make sure you're doing at least everything I'm writing over here so you're getting that into your habits. At some point, you'll learn to kind of look at it. Again, don't write this, but if you see -6 minus 8, you'll just say it's 14. It's negative because you added them and then the 8 was bigger, and you won't have to think about it. When you see -7 plus 3, you'll say it's subtract 4. It's negative because of the 7, and you'll be done. So right now, we're moving slowly, but eventually it'll be something that you just look at and you're able to kind of figure out. And some of you are already there, which is good, but if you have to practice to get to that point. But again, it's just the people who are faster than you right now. Sorry. The people who are faster than you right now, it's just because they're seeing the process as they've practiced it and gotten better at it. So you have a -28 and a +12. These two signs are different. Because they are different, the signs do not agree. They do not like each other, so you will subtract. 28 minus 12. 16. Bigger numbers negative. There's my answer. I think you can do this. I think that as long as, and pretty much if you can get this down, that means that next week should be a good week for you as well. So not only would you do well on the quiz this week, you're going to probably do well on the quiz next week as long as you pay attention and show up and do what you need to do. Again, do not write anything over here. We're staying over here. -15, +24. These two signs are different. Because they are different, they do not agree. They do not like each other. If you put a group of cats in with a group of dogs, something bad's going to happen. You're going to have fewer animals. It's going to be bad. Bad could be negative, however you want to think about it. As long as it sticks in your head, the different means subtract. So 24 minus 15. Can't do 4 minus 5, 14. I think that's 9. So 9 here. Your bigger number is positive, so your answer is just +9. Number 13, -36, -12. In this situation, the signs are the same. Because they are the same, you're putting 36 negatives on the table. You're putting 12 negatives on the table. Nothing cancels because they all like each other. Again, they agree, so we are going to add this up. 36 plus 12, if you can't do it in your head, that's fine. Again, I'm just going to show you what you should be doing whenever you're doing these bigger numbers. 6 plus 2 is 8. 3 plus 1 is 4. Bring it back over. Bigger number is negative, so our answer is negative. You want to make sure that, especially as these numbers get bigger, that you keep your work section here and your scratch section off to the side. Sometimes your scratch section will be way off to the side over here. You can do that over here if you want to. 36 plus 12 equals 48, and then bring it back over. But your scratch work should be in one general area. However you practice it, however you start to set it up, just make sure you start thinking about the fact that you are going to have to do scratch work, especially whenever the numbers get real. You never know if you might have decimals. You never know if you might have fractions, and you need to work them out off to the side, and then bring the answer back. So again, we took that, we knew we needed to add, we added them up, we brought it back over, we continued. That's part of your organization, and the more organized you get, the better you're going to be at math as well. So again, just keep practicing that, trying to get better. -19, +8. Signs are different, so we will subtract. Again, hopefully you're getting faster at this. That's 19 minus 8, which of course is 11. Bigger number's negative. Answer will be negative. Just keep practicing. You keep practicing, it gets easier. Once it gets easier, everything becomes much better for you. 16 minus 38. Let's see. This is a +16. It's a -38. So we're looking at different signs. If the signs are different, take a second to think about what you would do. Don't write it, of course, because you might be wrong, but take a second to think about what you would do. If you said subtract, that is good. Again, 16 and 38 are opposites. There's going to be 0 pairs. They don't like each other. Again, anytime you have pluses and minuses, you take away. I'm sorry, positives and negatives you take away. So it's 38 minus 16. Again, in my scratch work area, 8 minus 6 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. So 22 is it. Bigger number's negative. Answer should be negative. Just something to make sure you're seeing this and getting better. That's all we're trying to do. Once again, don't copy anything to the left, to the right side of this line. So this side, just don't write. This is where you copy. Negative 57, positive 93. Signs are different. So make your decision. What do you think we're going to do? Because the signs are different, again, anytime you have pluses and minuses, sorry, positives and negatives, they zero out, which means you cancel them out. Cancellation is the same as subtracting. We need to subtract 93 and 57. Again, I always put the bigger number on top because that's the way that we learned. Can't do 3 minus 7. 13 minus 7 is 6. 8 minus 5 is 3. 36 is my answer. Bigger number is 93. Keep it positive. That's what your answer is going to be. Key thing, just make sure again that you're understanding that even though I'm going pretty fast on my subtraction and addition, if you can't go that fast, don't rush it. As I said, the more you practice something, the faster you get at it. So I'm not expecting you to be able to do your subtraction in 2 seconds, but as long as you use your fingers to count, as long as you just take your time to get the right answer, because I'm still having people adding wrong. They're putting 6 plus 8 is 12 and 6 plus 8 is not 12. There's no way you can get 12 if you use your fingers and actually count. So just make sure you're doing that so you're not missing easy questions, because it does cost you half of your points. Positive 48, negative 92. Are these two signs the same or different? And then the second question I want you to think about is, do you add or subtract? There you go. So again, we do 92 minus 48. Bigger minus smaller. Cannot do 2 minus 8, so we borrow. Change this into 12. 12 minus 8, again, use your fingers if you need to, is 4. 8 minus 4 is also 4. Our number is 44, but it's negative because the 92 is negative. The bigger number is negative. Almost done. Number 18. Again, we have a negative 76 and a positive 45. Take a second. Are these two signs the same or different? And then take a second. If they are different, what do we do? It has to become automatic. You recognize they're different, you automatically know you subtract, so set it up. Bigger number minus smaller number. 6 minus 5 works, 7 minus 4 works, 31 is it. We did not have to borrow because you could actually line this up that way. Bigger number 76, our answer is going to be negative 31. Number 19, again, writing this out. Underline the two numbers for yourself. Think about whether they're the same or different. Think about whether you add or subtract. That's as far as I need you to go on your own. That way at least you can kind of start testing yourself and making sure you've got it. Even if it's wrong, just make sure you copy the rest or fix it after if you're wrong. It's a negative 56. It is a negative 74. They are the same. So we will add. Again, with addition, it doesn't matter how I line them up. 6 plus 4 is 10. Carry the 1. 6 plus 7 is 13. 130. And is this going to be a negative or positive 130? Bigger number is negative. It's going to be negative. Hopefully you're starting to see it. Again, the whole purpose of this was not to work you to death, but just to kind of give you a chance to slow down on your own time. Focus on this with me and then see if you can actually get this down. Remember, again, don't write anything on this side of the line. You're just copying this part. So copy your 75 minus 92. Take a moment to underline the numbers. Take a moment to see if they're same or different. Take a moment to see if you think you're going to add or subtract, and then, from there you'll be okay. This is a positive 75. It's a negative 92. Those two things are different. Different means we subtract because, again, they don't agree. Bigger number minus smaller number. Cannot do 2 minus 5. Borrow. Turn that into a 12. 12 minus 5, again, using your fingers if necessary, is 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. 17 is my number. And it's negative 17. So if you're wondering again why we had to do our long addition, long subtraction, this is why. The only difference is now you actually have to set it up for yourself. You have to make sure you understand what's going on and all that good stuff. Again, take a moment to copy 21. After you copy it, underline the numbers to see what you're looking at. Again, you won't always be underlining numbers, but we just do this to kind of train our brain to look at those things. After you underline the numbers, think about whether those signs are same or different. After you make that call, think about whether you're going to add or subtract these numbers. We're looking at a positive 65 and a negative 93, which makes them different because it's positive and negative. Again, when they're different, we end up with 0 pairs that cancel. That means we subtract. So we go off to the side. 93 minus 65. Cannot do 3 minus 5, so we borrow. 13 minus 5, again using your fingers, is 8. 8 minus 6 is 2. 28 is my answer. 93 is bigger, so it's negative 28. And if you're wondering if you're ever going to get good at knowing what 13 minus 5 is, just keep doing it. Like I said, it's addition, subtraction is something where after you do it long enough and you start seeing the numbers enough, your brain can kind of start to recognize the patterns and you start to kind of know what the distance is. Even after that, you start being able to see other patterns in there that you never thought you would see, but just keep working with it. That's why we're doing this for the first semester and making sure that we are where we need to be. Let's see. Take a second, copy that down, go as far as to figure out whether you add or subtract, and then let's see if you're right. Negative 61, negative 77. Again, write the word same. Same means we're going to add. 7 plus 1 is 8. 7 plus 6 is 13. And then in the end, it's a negative 138. Number 23, copy it. Again, do those first 3 steps or so, which is, underline them, figure out if they're same or different, figure out if you're going to add or subtract. And we're almost done. Positive 47, negative 82. Different, so we subtract. Bigger number minus smaller number. Cannot do 2 minus 7. 12 minus 7, though, is 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. 35 is my number, but your final answer must be negative 35. All right. $62 minus 59. Same. Add. 11, 12. Bigger number gets the sign. And then the last one. Different means subtract. Set it up. There's your number. And in the end, there's your sign. So again, just keep working with it. It's going to not feel really super important until you actually just do it enough times. It just starts becoming natural. But outside of that, thank you for paying attention. Thank you for doing what you need to do. Make sure to put your name on this paper. So again, put your name on the paper and hand it in so you can get your credit for this. And have a good day.